Good afternoon, everybody. So, is everybody psyched by Jensen's keynote this morning? $1 trillion, right? $1 trillion. It used to be $500 billion. Now it's $1 trillion. And then next GTC is going to be $2 trillion. So it keeps on going. So what is needed in order for all of this to take shape and happen? All of this is really about the acceleration of AI being integrated into enterprises, nations, consumers, adding value. And there are two challenges to that, the way we see it. Well, first of all, it is all data-centric. I mean, data is the raw material that converted into intelligence creates value. And so it's all about the data. But in order for the data to create that value, you need two things. You need an onboarding process that is very simple. That onboarding process needs to work across use cases, across industries, across ecosystems. So the onboarding needs to be seamless, needs to be very easy. It needs to be very easy across AI factories. It needs to be very easy in the cloud. It needs to traverse edge to data center to cloud. So that's one aspect of it, the easy onboarding and delivery of AI services. The second part of it is it has to be very cost effective because GPUs are certainly not cheap. They're very valuable, but they're certainly not cheap. And as the complexity of GPUs increases and the value that GPUs and the compute can deliver increases, well, the cost goes up. And so for those organizations who are relying on inference, which is really where all the value creation takes place, well, the cost per token and the number of tokens that are getting generated just keeps increasing. So what do you need to do? You need to make the onboarding easier on the one hand, and you need to significantly cost reduce what is required for these services to be valuable and add value. So that's what DDN does. So we see ourselves as the data engine of the AI economy. We're powering the AI economy with our data engine, and our job is very, very simple. Make it easy for enterprises, nations, and consumers to utilize and consume these AI services no matter where they are, and make them as cost-effective as possible across the whole AI pipeline, pre-post training, analytics, inference, omniverse, and so on and so forth. So that's basically, I think, the starting point. Now, if we kind of get into the details of it and we say, okay, what is it that is required for all of this to happen? I mean, these are some of the challenges I think we're all facing in the industry. Well, the challenges are because of the cost of the GPUs in the deployment in AI factories. If your GPUs are not operating at full efficiency, the economics simply don't work out. And so you need a data plane, you need a data engine that ensures that the GPUs are continuously fed. That's number one. Number two, we're all facing the challenges of memory prices skyrocketing. Not only are they skyrocketing, but also the availability is becoming very, very complex. It's hard for them to get by. So you need a data engine capability that ensures the constraints that are out there with NAND, the constraints that are out there in cost and availability are shifted into a tiered architecture, which is what DDN provides, so that the economics work out and the lack of availability of memory does not impact the deployment of a data center and the availability of data services and AI services. I mean, the third one is you need unification. You need one single plane that serves all of the requirements, all of the protocols across all of the classes of memory that are available. That is another element that is important. So the result of that is you need a data engine that has been designed specifically for AI workloads. AI workloads multimodal, AI workloads multimodal, AI workloads in open source implementations, and the whole gamut, but that is also future-proofed. So that's that part of it. And then data resides everywhere. Data is at the edge. I mean, you saw it in Jensen's keynote, robots at the edge, autonomous driving at the edge. Well, you know, the devices at the edge are collecting content. That content needs to be analyzed, it needs to be processed, it needs to be trained so that it can then enhance the models and deliver better inference and deliver better value. So these are some of the requirements that you just cannot bypass. You need these things in order to operate successfully in the AI economy. And so that is what DDN does. We accelerate, we make it easier, safer, we cost reduce, we make it seamless for users to take these large investments that are being made in AI infrastructure and turn these investments into value creation. Trillions of dollars are going into building out the infrastructure of the AI economy. Well, that needs to translate into value creation. And that value creation revolves around data. So if you look at it, where are the places where it really matters? Well, one part of it is, we discussed, GPU efficiency, because GPUs are costly. They represent the lion's share of the cost of a data center, an AI data center. So you have to make them run very efficiently. Number two, power. There's just not enough power out there. And so power efficiency is another element that's very important. Now with the Grok announcement, with LPUs and TPUs and what have you, we're going to significantly lower the power footprint required for inference. But nonetheless, it is still, power is a major requirement, and the availability of it and the cost of it. So you need to run an engine, you need to run an infrastructure where power is being utilized extremely efficiently. Then the other side of it is the tokens per GPU. Because all of these services that are being stood up and are delivering capabilities that are inference types of capabilities, well, they're charging a certain amount of money to the users and the enterprises who are utilizing these services. The problem is, if the service is good, well, people just keep using it. And so, tokens are getting consumed, and we're coming across many organizations who are saying, well, we're upside down. Because the utilization of the infrastructure, which is making our services run, is costing a lot more than the revenue we're generating. And so making the token economics be significantly more compelling helps these organizations be successful and continue to grow and continue to add value. And then there is the time to production. So, we've done and continue to do so many really large projects with data centers. Well, the planning phase of the data centers, as you're going up in complexity from GB300s to Vera Rubin to Ultra VRs, so on and so forth, it's getting more and more complex. There's more and more complexity that is going into the racks. And so the capabilities and the knowledge required from organizations who are making these investments in AI infrastructure, well, the bar is keeping getting higher. And so you come across organizations who are investing hundreds of millions or billions or tens of billions of dollars in infrastructure, and if that infrastructure isn't becoming very, very quickly productive, well, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and that then puts your economics upside down. So that's another element which we do with the DDN data engine. We make it a lot easier and faster for these AI factories to become operational very, very quickly and deliver value and deliver financial outcome and business outcome very, very quickly. So as we've been looking at evolving our product capabilities, well, we don't have a 5-layer cake, we have a 4-layer cake. But at the bottom of the 4 layers, there's the infrastructure enablement. So this is Exa and Infinia. These are software stacks, but these are software stacks that are enabling the data capabilities to run very efficiently, or feeding the GPUs very efficiently, or lowering the power footprint, and so on and so forth. Well, on top of that, what is really required for organizations to be successful, you need a control plane. You need an orchestration layer. And what that orchestration layer does, if you're looking at the world of cloud providers, of NCPs, the orchestration layer allows quick and safe onboarding of multi-tenants in their environments. It's a lot easier to onboard these organizations. You don't have to worry about, well, who is being isolated from whom. And the velocity of onboarding and the reliability of the service is very, very important. We've seen many organizations who are working with certain NCPs, and they're saying, well, the onboarding was really complex, and it took a long time to get it going, and then there were glitches and so on. So we've developed an orchestration layer that sits on top of our data plane and that ensures that NCPs have a seamless onboarding of services and capabilities for their customers. Same thing on the enterprise side. I mean, one of the things that is hindering the ability of enterprises to onboard and gain value from services is orchestration. So we've developed a set of services, AI services that are industry specific, that tie into the DDN capabilities as a data engine on the one side, but also tie into all of the CUDA libraries that NVIDIA is making available, that ties into the NIMs and NEMO, and the combination of all these things makes it easier for enterprises to onboard these AI services, and then that results in industry solutions. So this four-layer cake, going back to what I said at the very beginning, makes it easier for enterprises, nations, and consumers to onboard and consume AI services, makes it more reliable, makes it easier to scale, and it cost reduces the whole implementation of these things, which accelerates the adoption of AI, within the global economy. So I'll just give you one example on each layer, just to give you a sense of what it is. So in industry solutions, financial services. I mean, Jensen said it this morning, financial services is booming, it is expanding. It's the industry which is adopting AI better, faster, and at scale more than anybody else. Well, simply because in financial services, it's connected to money. If you have a capability, if you have an AI service that is giving you the ability to run models faster, with better predictability, with more variables, well, automatically, you're going to deliver better outcomes. These outcomes will result in better economics and better return to your investors, and you're going to be more successful. So we've developed an industry sync FSI quant capability, which significantly accelerates what is going on at the level of the pipeline, the quant pipeline. It also gives organizations the ability to do risk management much, much, much faster. The problem with doing risk management and seeing whether you're compliant or not, if you don't do it very quickly, the risk is you are not in compliance with the requirements, and the fines associated with that can be very significant. And we've come across organizations who've had to pay fines of hundreds of millions of dollars because they were not in compliance. They were not in compliance not because they knew, they were not in compliance because they didn't have time to process everything and ensure that they were in compliance. So that's an example of what an industry solution is. It's highly valuable for a class of organizations, a class of enterprises within an industry segment. So we've developed a whole bunch of these. I mean, we'll be talking about many more of them, but this is just one example. The other side of it is AI services, and that's something that we're encountering over and over. I want a service. I want GPU as a service. I want storage as a service, inference as a service. I don't want to just make an investment into something and not really know whether what I'm paying for will result in something that I will use. I want to do it as a service. If I use a lot of it, well, I would pay for a lot. If I use very little of it, well, I don't want to pay a lot. So we've developed a set of capabilities that are services, again, AI-centric services. One of them ties to do into token acceleration. If you look at inference, accelerating tokens, and being able to deliver faster KV cache capabilities means that your inference is going to be much more successful, it's going to be much more real-time, and it's going to be much more cost-effective. Again, the ROI pencils out very, very well. And so the performance gains in KV cache and in token acceleration are orders of magnitude. Orders of magnitude means much faster time to first byte. It means much better, much faster results, and it means much better economics. So that's one example. Another example is vector database as a service, which is something that many organizations have asked us for, and we will be providing that very, very soon. And that is, again, it's tying into the NVIDIA CUDA stacks, and it's delivering a disaggregated service that ties into our data plane and is making vector databases a reality, not just one type of vector database, but the universe of vector databases that are out there. Because one of the things that we heard from our customers is, give me flexibility, give me choice, but give me the ability to have a vector database capability through the DDN stack. So that's on that side of it. Then on the control plane side of it, so we're announcing DDN Horizon, and Omer, who runs engineering and product, will be telling you more about it. But DDN Horizon is basically the orchestration layer, which makes the onboarding for customers in neo-cloud providers and enterprise customers better, more solid. If you're an enterprise, well, the CIO is being tasked with keeping the lights on. So he doesn't like risk. He or she does not like risk. So it has to be foolproof in terms of being integrated into their infrastructure. At the same time, the business stakeholders and the financial stakeholders want the business and financial benefits associated with that. So an orchestration layer that does that, that ensures that the CIO is happy and fully de-risked, and the business and financial people are happy because the ROI pencils out, is very valuable. So that's a capability that we have developed. And so it's giving us the ability to deliver to our customers all the services we talked about, GPU as a service, inference as a service, data as a service, so on and so forth, through this orchestration layer that is very flexible and is equally beneficial and equally applicable to neo-cloud providers, AI native organizations, as well as enterprises and sovereign. The last piece of it, the data intelligence platform. So I'm just going to take two examples, one with Exascaler and one with Infinia, in terms of the value that the platform itself delivers. And again, we'll get into a lot more detail. But on the Exa side, with the memory shortages and the craziness of costs having just gone through the roof, having a tiered architecture where you can basically tier based on what you need. I need performance for this part of it. I need kind of capacity and performance optimization for this other part of it, and I need capacity optimization for the third part of it. Well, with the DDN Exa architecture, you have the ability to customize what organizations required and tier it so that not only are we delivering the best outcomes, business and financial, but we're doing so taking into account that there are shortages in NAND and memory. So the Exa architecture is alleviating these challenges and is making organizations, giving them the ability within a given budget, without having to spend more, to achieve the business and financial outcomes that they set out to do. And on the Infinia side, so the beauty of Infinia, it's really inference optimized. And it's inference optimized at levels that are very, very significant. Again, for all of those organizations that are providing services that tie into token generation and tokens per GPU, not only is it delivering a lot more tokens per GPU, but it's lowering the cost of that because it's accelerating things. And that is something that is extremely valuable. Now, there are lots of things that go into Infinia. Infinia is now running on hundreds of thousands of GPUs, so it's proven at massive scale. It's proven in lots of use cases. But again, it's addressing the needs of the inference market. Exa, the example I showed you just a bit earlier on, is addressing the challenges associated with NAND and memory shortages and costs. So again, it goes back to easier onboarding, delivering capabilities and services that are fully integrated for different types of use cases and organization, and significantly cost reducing what is needed in terms of delivering the outcomes to customers. Now, just a few things on factories, because Jensen touched on that today. So the way we're looking at AI factories, an AI factory really needs to have the flexibility, not just to deliver the outcomes very rapidly, not just to get operational and productive very, very quickly, but it needs to traverse the requirements of what an AI pipeline looks like. Again, pre-post training, analytics, inference, all of it. So on the one side, you're tying into model training. On the other side, you're tying into inference. And then increasingly, we will see a world where multimodal is becoming a big deal. Well, the problem with multimodal is data gravity. You cannot just move images and video around. It's extremely expensive to do so, and you cannot do it in real time. So with the DDN architecture, we're moving metadata around, and so we can tag attributes, and by doing so, we can provide real-time capabilities that are extremely cost-effective. So the three-computer paradigm that Jensen talked about, it's unifying all of that and making it available in an AI factory. Which we think is very, very beneficial. I mean, the other part of the AI factory is reducing the power footprint. I mean, everybody we talk to tells us that power requirements are a major challenge, and power requirements drive significant costs at the level of the compute and the infrastructure. Well, by shrinking the power footprint required to achieve certain tasks throughout these AI pipelines, well, we're making the business and financial outcomes far more cost-effective, and the ROI pencils out much, much better. Sovereign AI is another area where we feel there are significant capabilities. We've been working with our great partner and customer, Alaria, and with NVIDIA, and we have developed a fully integrated set of capabilities which makes sovereign AI something that can be implemented safely, reliably, in any kind of national context. Now, looking at the geopolitical challenges that we're faced with, I think the world has realized that, well, it's not necessarily a gigawatt type of footprint for an AI factory. Maybe it's better to have a more distributed approach to the problem, so that if there are glitches, if there are problems, you have a distributed architecture. Well, we've developed with our partner Alaria, again with NVIDIA, a fully integrated sovereign AI factory that delivers services across all of the agencies and all the areas where sovereign AI requires services, as well as tying into super apps that deliver capabilities to consumer, all of that tied into the DDN orchestration layer and the DDN data plane. So the combination of all of these things results in a very safe, very quickly deployable sovereign AI factory that gets operational and super cost effective. I mean, last but not least, enterprise AI, we talked about it. Enterprise AI is basically an AI factory with onboarding capability, with services that tie into it. So, I mean, by and large, again, I think the theme, and I think you heard it from Jensen, it's that it is no longer just about the infrastructure and the innovation in the infrastructure. It's about delivering these services and capabilities to the users who will benefit and create value out of them. In order to do so, clearly, you need to continue to evolve the technologies, but the technologies need to evolve lock and step with the advances and the needs on the inference side and throughout the data pipelines. But it's all about delivering services. And just looking at this morning's slide, I couldn't resist putting this one up. It's every part of the stack is continuously evolving. And so you need a data architecture, you need a data engine that works for today's requirements, but is also future-proofed, because the investments are so large that not future-proofing your data plane capabilities, your data orchestration layer capabilities, and tying into all of the use cases and the software stack and the software services that will tie into that means that financially it's just not going to work out. So that's pretty much the long and the short of it. Lots of software investments, lots of software services, again, tying into creating value, creating reliability, and creating cost-effective outcomes for our customers across all industries and all use cases throughout geographies. So with that, we'll pass it on to Paul, who will talk about the momentum we're building with lots and lots of customers. Thank you very much.
That's right. Yeah, you have to push Thank you, Alex. So, Alex covered it. Basically, what DDN's job is to accelerate the adoption AI at large, right? And this is not a, like you saw from the keynote today, it's moving into full production. You're talking about $500 billion industry of investment just with NVIDIA, right? This is basically generating a lot of revenue and a whole new economy worldwide. 20, 30, 40, there's a 20, 30, 40x factor, right? When you start adding the application layer. So this is a massive opportunity, right? And we're right in the middle of it. And I think the changes with last year is we are now in the production phase. We are no longer in the test phase, we're getting into the production phase. And when that happens, it means that one, you're going to have to scale. Two, you have to do it in a repetitive fashion, right? And three, it cannot be a science project, which means it has to be repeatable. And whatever the formula you start with, right, especially on the data plane, like Alex was saying, it's like building a high-rise, right? Right now, if you're buying 10,000 GPU, you have the 3 first floors. But then you're going to build up and add another 10,000, another 10,000, and so forth. If you're not ready to basically add it and have a uniform situation, you have a big problem. So again, we really see our task becoming very different. We're seeing our engineers basically working on a 99,999, 100% availability. So no matter what happens with servers or cables or racks or SSDs or even software, you're staying up. Because what we're building now is AI factories. You're no longer basically building a small science project. You're building something that is going to become and is business strategic at a level of a country, at a level of armed forces, at a level of enterprise, at a level of health research and so forth, or automotive and so forth. So this is really kind of an inflection point that we are seeing in our discussion with customers. And so this is very important. This is GTC, right? It's one of the important trade shows. And we have some of our customers here and obviously a lot of our partners. And what we want to do over the next 2-3 days is learn from you, right? What are your goals? How can we help make you more successful? Yes, we have great technology. Yes, we have great people. But I mean, basically what we want to do really at the end of the day is evolve from just providing a product in a set time to provide you with solutions that will make you great, that will make your organization, enterprise, agency perform better, that will make you look good as well with your management or whatever, that basically you are implementing something that is making a difference and making you more successful. So, again, what we're finding is, I guess we have to move. So at this point, I guess it's tough to count because the GPUs are really kind of cycling through, but we believe there are way more than a million GPU being supported out there. But what does that mean? It means that we have been now working for many, many, many years, and we'll go into this with our partnership with NVIDIA, but really the fact that we are deploying small, medium, and very large scale, right? Both existing training, and now we're moving inferencing, moving very quickly, right? So a lot of our projects that we are involved now involve both training and inferencing. And as you saw this morning again from the keynote, the new inference king is NVIDIA. And clearly the message was clear, is that training is kind of, people are going to keep training, but what we're talking about and involving and what's going to create basically the growth is inferencing. And so inferencing, our control data plane, Infinia, are uniquely designed for inferencing. We actually started developing this with NVIDIA 5, 6, 7 years ago with inferencing in mind. And Omer and our engineering team will cover much more why we believe we differentiated, right? But just a few words, like Alex was saying, was time to first token, latency, intelligence of the data built, right? The fact that you don't have to pull all your data once you start searching for billions and through billions and billions of objects that will hit you. And again, in essence, even if you forget about training, you're still doing training. You're still going to go into multimodal. We're seeing more and more, actually now there's a trend as well where, again, what you want to do is be able to, it's all about GPU economics and now tokenomics, right? So it's about basically making and creating more from your AI factory with a set data, with a set amount of GPUs or network, right? This is what DDN helps you do. Helps you optimize, also helps you have access, ingest, analyze, and cipher through data in a much simpler, faster, and more economical way. So, I mean, all these customers we're talking about here, right, from AI natives to large enterprise to neo-cloud to sovereign AI, are deployed at scale with DDN. Obviously, this is only a very small set of our customer set. We'd love to talk to you again about your particular use case. Have you talked to some of our references? Have you shown some of the pipeline that we've developed, actually? This is very interesting. I mean, I don't know, some of you might have seen, we actually have a traveling bus by show of hand. Anybody has seen that traveling bus on the park? So I would invite you guys to go check it out. I'm getting very good feedback on this. This is a NVIDIA Supermicro and DDN, right, sponsored bus. But what's interesting is really, it doesn't show the full scale. It shows a set of actual application and pipeline and problems that we are resolving, right? And so clearly, AI, you can talk about AI native, which is massive scale. You're talking millions of GPUs, not the same problem as a research lab or an enterprise that will be deploying hyperpods. How many of you guys know about hyperpods? Okay, so that's great. There's room to learn. Fantastic. Hyperpod is basically the solution, the solution for an enterprise and people that are not basically super expert in deploying zillions of GPUs to deploy half a rack or rack and start basically doing AI training, inferencing, and generating basically value for your company. So Hyperpod is in the bus. We'd love to get you through demos. We also have demos at our booth as well. So ecosystem, that's super important. I think that's a very, very, very big difference with DDN as a strategy. You know, we used to be very much direct, I mean, not direct, but talking to customers, understanding the requirements, and really kind of force alone almost, right? I mean, forcing the way through technology. And at this point, this is completely different. We're only as good as our ecosystem. So this is super important. The same way, if you're an end user, you're going to go find a solution, right? And that solution will touch many, many different companies. And it is very incumbent on us now to work seamlessly with those companies. It could be a GSI like Accenture or Deloitte, which I believe are present in the company, right? And that are going to basically have the touch and the understanding at the customer set, right? But this solution, the same way prescribed or reference architecture with Accenture or Deloitte, might be delivered with Supermicro, Dell, Lenovo, Evident, or Bull, and so forth, right? And the same way, or some of our resellers, or some of our application guys, or some across the board. So the ecosystem, which again, this is only a very small portion of our ecosystem, but this is evolving and super important. DDN today runs on-prem, it runs in the cloud, it runs in the hyperscalers, right? For some of you know or might not know, we have a what's called a 1P offering with Google Cloud that we launched 6-7 months ago, and it was actually tremendously successful. A lot of basically companies are now running their training, inferencing, and workloads directly on GCP with DDN managed services, right? And this is across. We're running at CoreWeave, we're running at Vultr, we're running at Global AI, we're running in the many, many, many different NCPs from NVIDIA. So again, ecosystem, we take it very seriously. We're evolving. We basically hired a whole team also to partner with this company to get depth and to understand the overall value of a solution to you, Mr. Customer, to deploy in a productive fashion and basically be savvy of the investment that you're making. So I love this slide, right? I mean, it's kind of interesting because nobody ever knows about it, right? I go into customers' accounts and say, do you guys know that NVIDIA is using us everywhere? No, we don't, right? Well, they do. And this is very interesting, not to the fact that they're using DDN. It's interesting that for the past 10 years, on every GPU generation, NVIDIA is basically testing all the internal clusters for engineering, support, product development, testing of benchmarks, and so forth, right, is done with DDN. There is no other platform. And we're pretty proud, actually, to say that over the past 6, 7, 8 months, we actually received significant amount of orders for all the Vera Rubin clusters being deployed with NVIDIA, at NVIDIA, worldwide, right? And so what does that mean to you as a customer? It means that really the full stack is tested. The performance benchmarks that are basically advertised and deployed and published by NVIDIA are done with DDN. The kit is NVIDIA. At the end of the day, with all the technology, in a sense, for data ingest, data processing, data, and really feeding the GPUs, right? This is downing. You saw the performance, 40 million, what is it, 40 million? What was it, 40 million faster than 10 years ago? 40 million. Well, you need a serious data capability to feed those. This is what DDN does. And I will challenge you, if any of you guys want to test it, bring any of our competition against us. We'll be very happy to basically do a head-on fight and show you exactly why we mean business when it comes to performance, scale, value, GPU economics, tokenomics, and so forth. So again, for the past 10 years, a lot of knowledge, a lot of value being created jointly. And to that effect, right, it's becoming, we're hiring more and more people. I mean, you know, to support also full alignment with NVIDIA. You saw the keynote this morning. It's absolutely amazing, right? Jensen goes up, down, sideways, covers every vertical, covers every part of the industry, from physical AI to training to inferencing to healthcare to whatever, right? Every subject. Well, basically, now it is upon DDN the same way to provide more value to the NVIDIA stack and to you when you deploy and use those stacks, right? And so some of the idiosyncrasies, I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with them, but I will briefly peruse through them. Dynamo, KV Cache, right? This is something that is just, a lot of people have been talking about it, still being implemented, still growth and so forth, but super important for large inferencing at scale, right? The idea is to basically free up the GPU and be able to basically maintain the data of your search in a lesser cost and still low latency infrastructure so that you don't have to research. It's kind of a problem, right? If you did a kind of a search yesterday and then you have to start from scratch, it's kind of a pain, right? That's what KV Cache resolves. STX, right? So DPU accelerated services. We support not just Bluefield 3. We've deployed all Bluefield 3 across many NVIDIA stacks. We now support BF4, and we anticipate a lot of more success because it's a much more performant platform as well and enhanced in a lot of the software side. CMX, super exciting. You know, this, with our data plane, this is enabling again. And when we say enabling, it means that we make your NVIDIA infrastructure power investment better. We save you 10, 20, 30, 40%, which is massive dollars at the end of the day in productivity, in finance, and so forth. And then the AI Factory, which is now called DSX, but what we've done, which Alex announced, is a partnership with NVIDIA and Alaria for sovereign AI. Meaning what? Meaning that if you're a small country, or even in some cases a company that wants full air-gapped capabilities with all the search capabilities, all the, you know, let's assume you're in real estate, right? You want to be able to see if it's feasible for you. You're going to buy, you're thinking of bidding on the land, right? And you want to see if it's feasible for you until how much you can pay. Literally, with Alaria, DDN, and NVIDIA, it takes you exactly 5 minutes to figure out a full business model. You know, what is it? What is it going to be? How many 2-bedroom can you build? How many 3-bedroom can you build? What is the rental capability? What does make sense? And literally derive within 5 minutes what you should be paying for this piece of land and make money, right? So this is just an example, right? It can be applied to any businesses. So this is exactly what we do. The same way we now have like real-time search capability with physical AI already deployed for construction companies. You literally have some of those. You remember the Boston Dynamics kind of small dogs? Well, every morning they go through basically the work, the construction being done, and provide a real-time report to the foreman saying, this is where you're at, this is where you need more people, these guys didn't do the job yesterday. So it's kind of a digital twin applied to a construction site, right? This is being applied today in real time and providing value in the field. So again, Sovereign AI Factory, we'll be talking about it much more because it's a factory. It needs to perform. It cannot be, you know, technology and we know. It needs to be fully uptime. It needs to be delivering those tokens day in, day out, no matter what. So again, we believe that DDN is the only company to build this AI data platform at scale. Many companies can build data or handle data at small scale or medium scale or make claims. What we're finding when you're really working at the full thing with encrypted data, with basically full, million or billion type of requests per second, we're the only one sustaining the load. We're the only one basically enabled to deliver, again, the feed to the GPUs. So super important, right? The GPUs, again, you're talking about billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions being invested. Saving 10% is massive. Saving 20% is massive. So we pay for ourselves. Ensure predictable AI production. You need to be in production. This is, again, it's no longer, it's the difference, I guess, with what we call high-performance computing. We're very proud of our high-performance computing background, but the difference is going to be the uptime, the fact that it needs to remain up at all times, and that the scale is unbelievable. The lowest cost per AI outcome. This is the first time, really, if you look at it, that Jensen focused on tokenomics, right? So this is becoming a business, right? In a sense that by implementing these, be it an enterprise, being an NCP, being a cloud, you're investing and you're going to generate dollars. So at this point, this is actually good, in essence, for DDN because we have always been extremely efficient in what we provide in infrastructure compared to the dollar provided to DDN. So this is actually very good news because we welcome the scrutiny, we welcome the value that we add at that level. And then again, you want to be full ready, right? You want to be able to do training, you want to do inferencing. If all of a sudden you start getting into physical AI and the requirement to feed a GPU goes times 10, you want to be ready. You don't want to be limited by the architecture, right? If you're in a field situation, right, you cannot have a performance issue. So anyway, this is basically my presentation. I would be remiss to not introduce, would you say Vice Admiral Rondo? In the time of war, because the US is at war, right? We are in GTC, but there is a war going on. I would be remiss not to introduce someone who's dedicated a life with service. We have an Admiral here, Admiral Rondo, and we appreciate your presence. Thank you. Thank you for your service. And on this, I will pass it on. Thank you very much.